Hi, my name is Steve Snapp, and thank you for joining us in this episode of Salesforce for Building Materials. In this episode, we're going to go deeper in this concept that we call project relationships. In another video where I talk about the project concept in Salesforce, we talked about this idea that the project is really the hub or the center point in Salesforce that you use to manage your details associated with a project. The project relationships is one of those, we call them related lists, but it's one of these objects that hang off of the project and help us understand the key details of the people involved in the project. Before we get started, I want to mention that we have two links in the video description you should know about. I'll mention these again at the end of the video if you'd like to keep watching, but I wanted you to know that we've included a link to our pricing video where we share the pricing for Salesforce Construction, and we've also included a link to our guided free trial. The guided free trial will allow you to start using Salesforce Construction immediately in your business while providing a step-by-step learning path. Now, whenever we do a video, we always want to talk about the problem that we're trying to solve. And the problem that we're trying to solve with project relationships was how do you manage all of the accounts and the contacts, the architects, the general contractors, the individual architects, the project managers, how do you manage all of that information in one place so that you know who the players are and who the influencers are? So that's the first problem we wanted to solve. But the second problem we wanted to solve was how do you then take that information and learn from it so you know which architects are really strong for you, which general contractors might be a risk for you, etc. So that was the purpose of building this concept called a project relationship. Now, before I go and show an example of project relationships, I want to start with a this review of the dashboards. So if you look at the dashboards here, what we're really looking at are a roll-up of all of those metrics that I'll talk more about. And so the metrics are what help you understand what's happening in your business. So the purpose of the project, as I said earlier, was to capture details about the project, but also allow you to hang off a lot of the associated details. So in this example, I'm going to go back to the project record, and I'll come back to that dashboard and make a couple final comments before we close. So here on the project, this is where I have all the details of the project. What industry is it in, where is it located, etc. I know what sales cycle we're in. I know if it's in design, if it's in bidding, etc. That's this stage field right here. But over here on the right-hand side, we have what we call related lists. And over here, you'll have what we call the project relationships. This is where you capture the accounts and the contacts associated with this project. Now, in this case, I've got a couple of key people that are associated with this. But the neat thing is I can drill down and see more details about who's involved. Now, I'm going to click Manage Relationships here, and it's going to take me into more of a worksheet concept where I can track not only the accounts that are associated with this project and what role they play, but I can also capture all of the contacts. Now in this example, I have multiple people associated with a project. Now I've got Stephen hidden with Long and Foster. If I wanted to add other contacts from his organization that play different contact roles, I could do that. So in this example, I can identify the role that Stephen's playing, etc. Now, what you'll notice here is this field called attitude. Attitude tells us what is their attitude or their position related to this project. Are they supportive, neutral, or opposed? So right from here, I can see that Long and Foster has been very supportive of us, therefore they're green. Now in a minute, I'm going to show you how we actually calculate that and how we determine the real level of support that they're giving us. But I wanted to just give you an overview here before we go much deeper. So at a default level, I can see where Long and Foster is, but I can also go into specific details about whether or not the individual person at Long and Foster is a yes or a no or a green or a red for me. So that's where we get into this concept of tracking the attitude of the business towards us, like how many of these deals have we gotten from Long and Foster, versus, Long and Foster loves us, but for some reason, we're just not on good terms with Stephen. So how do we handle that? So I wanted to give you this as the foundation so you understood the structure and how we use the information associated with the project relationships to capture this. But I want to leave this for a second, and I want to go back up to the dashboard and I want to talk about what we're doing at the account level once we have all of this information. Okay, so I go back to the project here, and when I go back to the project, I'm looking at those project relationships again, and what I'm seeing here is the accounts in the context like I said a moment ago. But what I didn't show you was what happens when you go into one of these accounts to see a roll-up of all of their data. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill down into Engineering Design Associates, and I'm going to go to their record. And what you'll see here is that I can now capture what we call their specification percentage and their award percentage. So here I can see Engineering Design Associates is an architect, which means they control the specification. So I can see in my system the number of projects that they've been awarded. Now that's obviously assuming that it's in my Salesforce. I can also demonstrate the number of projects where they've specified my product, and that creates not only a specification dollar amount, but a specification percentage. Now once I do that, that tells me what category Engineering Design Associates goes into. So we think in terms of, sort of 100%, 75%, 50%, etc. So if 50% of the time when engineering design is awarded a project and they specify us, they would have a specification percentage of 50%. If on the other hand, this was a general contractor and they awarded us, then we would see the number of records that they awarded, and that would generally apply to a general contractor. So the point here is we're using the project relationships data to calculate and form a picture of this particular entity and what impact they have on our business. Now, when I take that information and I go back up to my dashboard, I now can begin to see a picture of what records do I have in my pipeline, what projects are controlled by specifiers that might be friendly to us or unfriendly to us. You can also see projects that have been specified where we might have risk because the awarding entity may not be favorable to us or may not know us. So all of these metrics then begin to form a picture of where we should invest our energy and where we should make sure that we're working to minimize risk and ensure that we're closing the business. Thank you for spending a few minutes with me. I know your time is very limited. I've included 2 possible next steps in the video description. These include a link to our pricing video where we share the pricing for Salesforce Construction, and I've also included a link to our guided free trial. The guided free trial will allow you to start using Salesforce Construction immediately in your business while providing a step-by-step learning path. The guided free trial also introduces what we call the Guaranteed Quick Start, which is several pre-scheduled calls with our team to help make any light configuration changes like pick lists or reports, and also help you migrate any data that you want in your free trial. If you're not ready for those 2 choices, please spend some time here on our YouTube channel learning more about the specific problems we've solved for Salesforce Construction. Thank you again for some of your time, and we'll see you soon.